Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, May the 16th, 2017. Good to have you out here for our first of two shows this week. As always, before we get going, let me remind you of all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You, of course, can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411. Or since this is a wrestling show, yes, it is a wrestling show. More on that in a moment. You can also use hashtag ITS Wrestling as well if you'd like. So, and also on Facebook, you can search for us on Facebook using our show title, In the Spotlight 401. So once you search for us using In the Spotlight 401, once you're on our fan page, make sure that you like our page. Or once you're on our page, make sure you like our page, and then you can follow us and get up-to-date information on the show. All right, so here's the deal. We've made a couple of changes. And I do apologize for that because obviously there might be a number of you that might have wanted to submit questions or comments because on these wrestling shows you like to do that. So a number of you might be upset that I changed this last minute, but I just decided this is one. I don't do this too often, but I looked at what's going on and what we're going to be doing this week, and I just decided that it was better to do the schedule this way this week than to do it the way we were originally going to do it, which is to do the WWE, the wrestling show on Thursday, which is usually what we do. I just decided it was better to do this way. So tonight we'll be previewing WWE Backlash, which is a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view taking place on the WWE Network this Sunday. So we'll preview that and go over all the matches, make predictions, all that good stuff, and of course, address questions and comments from the fans out there related to WWE, related to wrestling in general. So if you haven't submitted a question or comment yet, you still do have time. And this might be especially important tonight because a number of you might have been planning to do that for Thursday. You can still do that. So please do if you haven't done so. Please submit a question or comment if you'd like. Again, time will permit how much we get to. So if you'd like to submit a question or comment by email, Facebook, or Twitter, please do so. So as I said, tonight we're going to do the wrestling show. And then on Thursday, we're going to do what we would have done tonight, which is a sports entertainment combo edition of our show. So we'll cover everything we have to cover in sports, NBA playoffs, the draft lottery, which took place, and I'll give you an update on that in just a moment. Also, of course, as always, it's because it's not an actual sports show. We still keep you up to date on what's going on as far as playoffs go and such, and we'll keep you up to date on the NBA playoffs tonight as well. I'll give you a score update on that momentarily. We'll talk about that, and of course, we'll talk about the playoffs in general, the draft lottery, all the big headlines in sports, NBA, baseball, all that stuff on Thursday. And then on the entertainment side, box office beat, TV highlights, and of course, let me tell you all the biggest reason why I made this change in schedule tonight. One of the things that we started doing last Thursday on the show was we started covering the new TV season, and we addressed the shows that were being renewed and being canceled. You remember we did that last week. And, of course, I said that next week we cover the upfront, which is when the networks unveil their schedules, let us know what they're going to be doing, what shows are moving to different nights, where new shows are falling, that kind of stuff. Well, the upfront started yesterday. Fox made their presentation. NBC made their presentation today. It was ABC. Tomorrow you got CBS. I wanted all the upfronts to be done when we do the show and discuss it because we're going to be preempted. I want to talk about all this stuff at once. So in order to do that, in order to do all the upfronts all at once, we kind of had to wait till Thursday. To do it. So once I came to that realization, if you will, that was when I decided that we had to switch things up tonight and move the wrestling show to Tuesday and do the sports entertainment show on Thursday. So we can cover the upfronts and do all that discussion. So that was what went into my decision as far as the scheduling goes for this week. So again, I know that's going to upset some people, but it's just something I felt was in the best interest of what we were trying to do this week. So that's why I made that decision. I don't know if I sent. He's going to get mad at me if I send another one, but I'm going to send another one. I can't remember if I sent him an invite. So, all right. So, okay. All right, so that's the reason why I made that decision. So there's that. So that's what we're doing this week, and that's why I switched things up. Now, next week, I have a change of plans for next week. Now, one thing I can tell you all is that we are changing the schedule for next week. Now, you all know that the original plan was we'd have a show on Tuesday night, and then that would be the last show we do for 2 weeks. We'll be off the air for 2 weeks. We will not have a Thursday show next week. We will not have a Tuesday or Thursday show the week after. I will be away. But I have decided to not do a show on Tuesday night. First, for one thing, it's my wedding anniversary. So I just thought it'd be best not to do that. And second of all, that's the biggest reason. But second of all, I just didn't think I just suspected that it was going to be a time issue. So I just thought it would be better to just leave it alone. So now, does that mean we're not going to have a show next week at all? I don't know yet. I'm going to confirm this on Thursday. I have to think this through right now. There is a possibility we end up doing a daytime show next week on Monday. I don't know. I kind of wanted to fit a show in before we're off the air for 2 weeks next week. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do it. But all I can tell you is, as it's for sure, there will be no show next Tuesday night. Obviously, we'll be preempted next Thursday. That was always the plan. And then the week after, we'll have no shows. So, if we do a daytime show, will it be Monday? Will it be during? It won't be during the day on Tuesday. Will it be Monday? Will it be Wednesday? I don't know. Do we do a show at all next week? I don't know. I'll confirm. I'll talk more about that on Thursday. I have to think it over. I have to see if there's any way I can work something in there or whatever. But, then Thursday's our last show, and essentially it's like 2.5 weeks off. But you know what? We'll play it by ear, and we'll see what happens. To work, let me think about it and see. But I just want to make the announcement right now. There will be no show at all on Tuesday of next week. So, just keep that in mind for next week. So more information on that as we get to it on Thursday. As my co-host has now jumped on the air, Mike, you're in the spotlight.
Why did I get called twice?
Because let me share with you. When I kind of, how we've been having this problem with getting this to work, which I've made significant progress on, by the way. Apparently the problem is now known. I don't know what the problem is, but the people that are helping me now know the problem. So hopefully that means results. But when I find it's surprised, the interface took me by surprise when I was able to finally make it work. So I went in, and then I went to the the invite thing, and I went to click on it. And usually you put the name in and you click it and it just goes through. It wasn't going through. So that's awesome. That's pretty sweet. That cup you got there, pretty sweet. But I hit it once and it wasn't going through, and I hit it again, and you must have gotten two, and I don't know if it came all at once or whatever, but yeah, that's why I called you. So I'm sorry that kind of, it just wasn't really working right. So I didn't know if it went through the first time or not. So I clicked it again. So my bad.
I ignored it.
So yeah, but we made progress on that front. So that's another promising announcement. And you weren't here for this, Mike. So I just to keep you up to in the loop here, I switched up things. We're doing the wrestling tonight.
Good.
So that means a quicker show. But then on Thursday, we got some television upfront stuff to get to and a bunch of other things. So I figured it was in the best, I explained it earlier, but it was in the best interest to kind of switch things up. So I did that. Yeah. So, all right. So more on what's going to happen next week on Thursday. I'll explain more about that on Thursday. Because I'm still deciding. So, but before we get started, obviously this is a wrestling show, but we're still going to do score updates and all kinds of stuff. But I do have to make an announcement of a loss we had over the weekend, and that was Powers Booth, who was just a really, really good actor, probably underrated because of the fact that he's one of those actors that I think I mentioned this a couple months ago as well. You know, where he's been in so many things, but he's not somebody that you immediately think of. You know, if you look at his filmography, you'll be like, oh yeah, now I remember him. And that's not a knock on him. He's great. It's just that ever so often you got these character actors that do such a good job, and then they're part of a great cast, and you're focused on other people. It's just the way it is. But Powers Booth. One of the things I liked about Powers Booth is he had a presence. He walked into a scene, you immediately you were at his attention. You were watching him. Every movie made in the scene that you were watching, and he had a great voice. He was a video. He voiced several video games. Lent his voice to several video games, I should say, and he just had a very good voice, like a great villain voice in a lot of ways. He played such a lot. I mean, he was known for playing villainous characters. He was on Deadwood. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was last year. You know, many people are going to remember him from movies like Sin City, Tombstone, Guyana Tragedy, the story of Jim Jones, which he won an Emmy for. Just a very, very captivating, good character actor. And just another sad loss. You know, he's Red Dawn. He was also in as well. So it's another loss. It's a horrible loss. He passed away this weekend at the age of 68. So we want to extend our condolences to his family, friends, his fans, his loved ones, and of course, may he rest in peace. That's again another tragic loss of a great character actor. So may he rest in peace. Just had to make note of that here at the top of the show. Mike, do you have anything you want to add before I move on?
It was a huge loss. He was a fantastic actor, and he will be well missed. He did so many great projects. He was such a notable actor. A good character actor. It's a big loss.
All right. Now, quickly off the top here, I mentioned some NBA stuff. The lottery has taken place. We'll talk more about it. We're not going to analyze that. We'll talk more about it on Thursday. But the Celtics, via a trade from the Nets, are the number one pick. The Celtics, who are in the Eastern Conference Finals, are the number one pick in the draft.
So it would have been the Nets.
It would have been the Nets, yeah. So
the Nets tanked, and they couldn't even get the number one pick.
Yep. So the Celtics are the number one pick. The Lakers are number 2, and the Sixers are number 3.
That must have broke the Sixers' heart to know that they did such a shitty job this year, and they only ended up with the 3rd pick. And
by the way, if you're this isn't, can you imagine the guys that are in this year's draft? How amazing it's going to be drafted to the Celtics? If you get drafted.
Well, if they get drafted by the Celtics, yeah, the Celtics are about ready to draft the best player they think is available. And these kids are like, well, I don't have to suffer on a shit team forever. I can go right to a contender.
Let's also keep this in mind, too. Don't doubt that the Celtics don't use that number one pick as trade bait for a player that they can win with now.
Or they can get a rookie who's literally ready to win now.
So right. Oh, they could do that too. I guess it all depends on how much they like the players at the top of the draft. If they have a need there at the top of the draft, then they'll be like, okay, we'll just go get this guy. But if they don't, then they might say, hey, there's somebody on a certain team that we can trade for with this pick. Let's go get them. So they have some flexibility.
A lot of flexibility.
It's a good place to be in if you're Boston. But, and the Lakers are number 2 and the Sixers are number 3. So we'll obviously see how that. We'll talk more about that on Thursday. Game 2 of the Western Conference Final is taking place now. Eastern Conference obviously not underway yet. The Celtics just took care of business last night, so that hasn't gotten underway yet. It will, I think, tomorrow. Kawhi Leonard is out for Game 2. Obviously, we all kind of suspected that would be the case. The Warriors have also set Andre Iguodala due to left knee soreness, so both teams, obviously Leonard's a huge deal. Well, I didn't think they'd do well without him, and they're not. Golden State is being destroyed by San Antonio, I should say, is being destroyed by Golden State. 66-37 with 1:36 left in the first half. Now, again, game one was kind of the flip. You know, the San Antonio had the 25-point lead. Leonard got hurt. Kevin Durant went off. And that 25-point deficit for Golden State turned to a win. Now Golden State has the big lead. So can San Antonio come back without Kawhi Leonard? We'll see. But obviously not looking good here.
Probably not be the operative word.
I would think so too. But we'll see. I mean, look, you don't write San Antonio off. They're going to have to win their home games, and then they're going to have to win a game in Golden State. And they would have won a game in Golden State had Kawhi Leonard not gotten hurt. But we'll see what happens. Right now, though, not looking good for the Spurs here in game two. So that's where the NBA stands right now. I just want to give you all that eye off the top. So if that being said, we'll keep you updated on that score as we go along. I don't think it's going to be much of an up. I don't think we're going to have to update too much there because it looks like it'll be a blowout. But nonetheless, we'll keep you updated. And now we're going to jump into wrestling as we flip the script and look at this week's WWE SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view Backlash, which will take place this Sunday on the WWE Network. So I'm going to pull up the match card here. And again, if you haven't submitted a question or comment yet, you can continue to do so. So please do. I know, again, everything got kind of tossed up and down here. So if you'd like, please do send your questions and comments in. All right, I'm pulling up the match card right now. Oh, that's good. That's pretty cool. I know this is random, but Jim Ross is going to call a match at TakeOver on Saturday.
He's going to call a match, or is he going to call the event?
No, he's calling a match. They said he's going to make an appearance. He's calling one match.
Well, I imagine the match that he might call would be Hideo Itami versus Bobby Roode.
Yeah, I imagine he called the main event. That's still pretty cool, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him call the whole thing. It'd be pretty sweet, but all right, I'm trying to pull up the card here since I'm not having much success here. Hang on. The network's the website's kind of being a little finicky here. And I have to be honest with you all. I'm not really. I know some of the matches on this card, but I haven't been really following some of the stuff. I know some of it, but I don't know if they announced any pre-shows or anything like that. So. Oh, well, apparently they did announce a kickoff match, but I'll talk about that in a second. I see that now. Okay. All right, here it comes. There it is. All right, there you go. All right, so we'll start with the kickoff matches first, and then we'll work our way as we always do. So as we pull up here. All right, so the first, the only kickoff matches, I think, if it will come up anytime soon. I know it involves Ty Dillinger.
Backlash?
Yeah.
You don't have the match list?
I'm trying to pull it up, and the website's just not working. It just won't upload any of like the. Here, I'm gonna pull up. I'm just gonna go someplace else and get it because the WWE.com is not working. It's being horrible to me right now. Usually I can just pull it right up and it's right in front of me. Hopefully this works out here. Hang on. Here we go. I got it now. Okay, it's working now. Well, most of it is.
All right. Well, I have the match list, so.
All right. So what's the kickoff match is Ty Dillinger and who?
Aiden English.
Okay. I just pulled up for me right now. Okay. So kickoff match, Ty Dillinger versus Aiden.
Should I take this prediction? Okay.
Sure, if you want to.
Let me take this prediction. Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English on the SmackDown. Where are you going? This prediction takes 20 seconds. Anyways, end it out till his balding ass gets back. Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English is the pre-show match. There should be no surprise here. Ty Dillinger is just going to be in the habit of getting wins. And this is just an easy way for WWE to give a Ty Dillinger an easy win. For them to apparently make fun of Mauro Ranallo some more via Aiden English, if that's allegedly what's going on. So,
okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Ty Dillinger's gonna win.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. Look, they just gotta get Ty Dillinger on the card at this point. And while I do think they're trying to do something with Aiden English, it's a little early in the game yet, and Dillinger's already over. So, nice little match for the kickoff show. People will be invested because they're invested in Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger's going to win this match easily. All right, that is the only kickoff match, I believe. At least the only one I know of. I don't think anything else was announced. I'm going to check to make sure. Because I haven't seen SmackDown tonight yet. I watched bits and pieces, but no, it's the only one. Okay, so all right, so we'll leave it at that. All right, so now we go on to the main card, and we will start off with next for the tag team titles. Breezango, who's finally getting a push, versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. This is one segment I actually saw on SmackDown. I kind of like the direction they're going with the Usos. I like the edge, even though it is a little stereotypical. But I do like it. It's different. You know, it's something that I think it's nice to see not to have the Usos as faces acting kind of heelish. It's nice to actually be actual heels. Breezango, it's about time they did something with them. And I'm glad that they are. The Fashion Police stuff is hilarious. They're hilarious. I really do hope they put the titles on them. I really do. I think there's really nobody else to give them to at this point. So I hope they do. I'm not convinced they will here, though. I think they have the Usos cheap. I think they're trying to get the crowd behind Breezango, and it's working. So I think they might want to have them chase for maybe another few weeks. So this will be a nice, cool match. The crowd will be entertained. I like the Usos to retain here, but not clean. Mike?
As much as I think Breezango should maybe take it here, there's still too much of the comedy tag team, really. So
yeah,
the Usos are going to win. I don't know who they're even holding the titles for.
It's a good question.
The American Alpha, we're going to go in that direction again? Maybe, maybe not. But I'll tell you right now that we are definitely Usos are definitely going to retain here. So
I really can't help but feel like the reason why they're getting pushed is because of Fandango being on Southpaw Championship Wrestling. But yeah. All right. Next up, we have I'm not going to mention that match yet. Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin. Mike?
Oh my gosh. This match could be really good. Goodbye. All right. Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin. Absolutely love to say Sami Zayn is probably winning here. He might. However, this is just a way to get Baron Corbin a high-profile win. Now, that isn't to say they can't do a cheap way for Zayn to win to kind of keep the feud going, and that could happen. Smart money would probably be on Corbin, though that doesn't extend the feud. It doesn't extend the feud at all because the end game is try to get Corbin some big wins. But if a sustained program where he looks brutal. Being said, I'm going to say Sami Zayn will probably win in a cheap fashion just to get him a win on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Because it just makes sense that they do that, but who knows? So I'm going to take Sami Zayn.
I'm not convinced that they want to extend the feud. I think this is just a way for both of them to get a match on the card because I think isn't the next SmackDown pay-per-view Money in the Bank? I think it is.
Yeah.
So they're both going to be in the Money in the Bank match. So I don't think they need to really extend it. So I could see Baron Corbin winning here, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think that it's just a one-off pay-per-view match to get both guys on the card. So yeah, I think Sammy will make it a match, and it's a good guy to put Baron Corbin in the ring with just to make it a way to get him over. I don't think it'll be quite as good of a storytelling match as he had with Braun Strowman back in December when he really made Braun look good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be that good, but I think it'll be kind of the same kind of deal where Sammy comes out looking good and Corbin comes out looking great. So, yeah, I think Baron Corbin's going to win here. I just think it's just a filler kind of thing. So, we'll see. All right. Next up, we have the main roster pay-per-view, and I think it's his first match, too. First match debut of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, okay. So we're going to treat Nakamura like a special attraction kind of deal here, which is, I think that's a pretty cool thing to do. This match is going to be a total kick and spot fest. Dolph Ziggler is going to oversell everything that Shinsuke Nakamura does because it's strong style and it's Dolph Ziggler and you know what's going to happen. But in this case, I think it's going to work really well. I think it's going to be this to me, if not Owens Styles, it's going to be the match of the night. Only because the crowd's going to eat it up. It's Nakamura's first main roster match, and Dolph's going to oversell so many of Shinsuke Nakamura's moves. It's going to make the match look so freaking good. I think somebody on a message board I'm on said that this match is probably going to be the closest to a New Japan match on WWE that you're ever going to get because of the way that it's going to be between the styles that they have in the ring. Nakamura and Ziggler. Ziggler kind of matches up with what a lot of these guys in New Japan would do. The only way you would get a closer match in New Japan with Nakamura and WWE is if Daniel Bryan was in the ring. So that's going to be it's going to be a cool spectacle kind of match. Nakamura is going to obviously win, but it has the potential to steal the entire night. Mike, go ahead.
I've been hearing things that say I've been watching some things that say maybe Dolph Ziggler is one of the he or The Miz would have been the best first main roster feuds for Shinsuke Nakamura. They're charismatic guys, more so Miz,
right?
That will sell and work hard to get the program over, and obviously Ziggler would probably far exceed The Miz in the ring kind of thing. So, because Dolph Ziggler's a guy, he's got some credibility. He can bump like a motherfucker. Let's face it, Dolph's probably coming towards the end of his run at the moment.
Uh-huh.
I mean, after he totally shit the bed last year at after SummerSlam, it's hard to say, you know. Get back to that level.
Yeah.
This is the closest he's going to get. He's the first opponent for Shinsuke Nakamura. And Naka, obviously, this is just a way to get Shinsuke an easy win. Because they're not going to job out to Dolph Ziggler on a B pay-per-view. Shinsuke with a Kinshasa should be a very good match. Tonight, I agree. Although I don't think it will be. It's one of the two matches I think that.
Yeah, it's definitely the best. We know what the best two matches on the show are going to be easily. So, and speaking of that other match that's going to be up there is one of the best matches on the show, guaranteed. United States Champion Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. Mike?
All right. This match has the potential to be the match of the night. The other match that has potential to be matched, and I'm surprised we're doing it this early. There's a possibility this could be the main event. Although I imagine one of the other possibilities for the main event, Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. Well, you got to get the megastar over, and you got to send the crowd home happy, eh? From what I'm hearing, that this is going to be an extended feud, and Owens literally just got the title back. Owens nefariously retains here. This match is going to be outstanding. They're not going to put this feud to bed. I think this feud extends well past Money in the Bank. Maybe this feud kind of plays into Money in the Bank, and the winner of that match could,
interesting.
Maybe they get interesting things. So, but I'm thinking Kevin Owens retains here. A little early for him to be losing, and obviously the big moment is probably AJ Styles getting into SummerSlam. So Owens to win here.
Yeah, I think this is an easy. This first of all, it's going to be a phenomenal match. Like I said, if it's not this match, it's going to be Nakamura Ziggler. That's the best match of the night. But yeah, Owens is retaining here. They already flip-flopped the title. They're not going to do that again. Owens has the whole gimmick thing working with the whole Face of America thing. They're not going to do anything with that. It wouldn't even surprise me if they use this feud right now that over the United States Championship to transition into a WWE title feud down to the end of the year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't surprise you if it transitions. Like you have AJ, you have Owens retain here in like you said, nefarious means, and then they're both in Money in the Bank more than likely, and then it kind of plays out from there, and then maybe the U.S. title gets dropped at some point, and then it becomes more about the WWE title between these two because that you could do this match for the WWE title and people care. So, yeah, I think that Owens is going to retain here. It's going to be a great match, and this feud will continue to extend. It's just a matter of whether it'll continue to be for the U.S. title or something else. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right. Well, we're going through this really quick, but I figured we would. It's not much to go on. These brand exclusive papers, you don't even have to do a whole show dedicated to because there's not much there. But next up, we have a women's match the women's title is not on the line. You have Naomi, Charlotte, and Becky versus what they're calling the Welcoming Committee. Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina, and of course, Mr. Ellsworth will accompany Carmella to the ring. So that's what we have going on here. First of all, I think the only reason the women's title is not being defended here for SmackDown is because Naomi got hurt, and they took the title off her. She got it right back. I do not think they want to take it right off her. So because of that, I think that's why they're running this match. Plus, they want to spotlight both Charlotte and Tamina into this division. They want to showcase the division, and I think that's why they're doing it this way. So, and I don't think they want to be too obvious in handing the title right to Charlotte, because Charlotte. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, Charlotte's kind of gone face here and everything." She hasn't gone total face. She's just kind of there because she doesn't want. They all have a common goal. Natalya, Carmella, Tamina, they all have been after Charlotte since she got to SmackDown, and she wants revenge, and they all have a common goal, a common enemy, and that's why she's there. But she made it abundantly clear on SmackDown tonight that as soon as she's done with the Welcoming Committee, she wants to go after the Women's Championship, and once she does, she'll win it. So. I think they just wanted to put off Charlotte's coronation and also give Naomi a little bit of a run and not just have her drop it quickly after how she won it and then had to drop it because of injury and then she won it back. So I think that's kind of a way to extend things out a little bit. It'll be a cool little match. They'll give it some time. It won't be like the WrestleMania multiple woman match where it kind of was messy at times. They'll give it some time and they'll all do their thing. I do think the end game will be Charlotte probably pinning Natalya because they've spotlighted Natalya. They even have her using the whole Bret Hart thing now. best there was, best there ever will be thing. I think they're going to spotlight Natalya and Charlotte here and have Charlotte pin Natalya. I think Charlotte's team's going to win. Although there are some people that think they'll have, just to reinforce the idea that Charlotte is still a heel, because some people are getting a little confused right now. They might have Charlotte turn on her team and screw Naomi, and the heels win. So there's that possibility too, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think they'll just have Charlotte's team win. Charlotte pins Natalya, and then they'll just go right back to the championship feud. That's what I think. But Mike, go ahead.
Why is this a match? Versus heels. Naomi Charlotte. This match is just an excuse to keep. I hate this. Anyways, the match just to keep the title on Naomi for another month. Faces over heels. Why not? Faces over heels.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Basically, Mike, it's filler. Let's just be honest. It's filler to extend things out. That's all it is. All right. So now we get to what I think will be the main event, for better or worse. I don't think it should be, because I think you have better options than Nakamura, Ziggler, and Owens and Styles. But because it's the WWE title, they're going to probably feel like they should do this. So it probably will main event. WWE Champion Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. I know we're still all in shock about this. Mike?
We've gone through every other match in the card, and we're at Orton versus Mahal.
Weird.
Featuring the former Bollywood boys, now the less interesting Singh brothers. Then Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn. That match would have been friggin' outstanding. Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. Honestly, Jinder's probably going to win. He's going to have the Singh brothers there, literally running interference. You know what? You're going to build new stars. Jinder's going to be champion. Vince is going to go, oh my God, that body. Oh, look at those veins. Do well in the Indian market. Hey, another Indian guy's champion. Look, it's Jinder. Jinder's the champion. He's good, boys with them. Yay. And then Jinder's going to lose the title after 30 days. Maybe 2 months. Who knows? Going to be champion next month, but I think Jinder's going to get his quick reign. So, I believe I'm going to say this. Jinder Mahal is going to be the WWE champion.
I agree. You don't do this if he's not, because why else would you do? You know what I mean? I know that I remember a couple years ago. Remember when R-Truth challenged John Cena, and really none of us thought he had a chance. It's like, well, they had. I remember. If I remember correctly, I think they had a different opponent in mind, but that person got injured, so they kind of had to quickly. It was just a way to fill things up until they got the CM Punk for Money in the Bank. This time though, they coming out of Mania, they knew what they were doing. The shake up, they were going to do Jinder Mahal. I don't have an issue with trying to push Jinder Mahal. Okay, but why not start this when you brought him back? Why not, when he was on Raw, why not have him, start getting some wins in the mid-card, maybe push him as a contender for a mid-card title or something, or as a tag team. He was with Rusev. Why couldn't him and Rusev have done something as a tag team? Just to kind of build him up. That's my issue with this. You would have gotten a lot more out of this Jinder Mahal push if you took the time to build him up instead of trying to do it all in, a month's time? It's just people are already seeing through it. Yeah, he's getting heat, but he was always going to get heat. The gimmick is going to get heat. So I don't go by that. I go by what's going to draw. This match is not going to draw. Even if he wins, it's not going to draw because people are like, okay, he won because they're trying to make a point here and say that, believe in him. He's going to be a major factor going forward. But then the minute that they see the ratings, if assuming the ratings go down, I'm not saying it's because of Jinder Mahal, but if people don't buy into the story, okay, and people don't buy into the character, doesn't matter. This isn't about in him being Indian or Middle Eastern or anything like that. It's about the fact that they didn't take the time to build him up. Jinder Mahal, you could be. There's a lot of potential with Jinder Mahal. You could do a lot of good things with him. But to me, you're already screwing this push up by doing it this quickly. He should have been pushed immediately when he came back and have a gradual push, make him a force. And then when he does move to SmackDown, then you can insert him and go, all right, people are going to be like, okay, you know what? We've been seeing this since he got back. This is a different Jinder Mahal. Instead, you brought him back, and it was like no different than when he left. He was losing matches left and right. And then all of a sudden, literally overnight, superstar shakeup comes to SmackDown. All of a sudden, he's a main event talent. It's just people see through that stuff now. You can't do it. But you're right. He's going to win on Sunday. Not clean, obviously, but he's going to win. They gave him a faction for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's going to happen. He's going to win. For how long does he keep the title? I guess it's going to depend. I hope for his sake he gets more than a month with it. If you're going to do it, at least keep it on him. Give him at least get him through at least one title defense. Am I convinced that's going to happen? Not really. I almost feel like they're doing it just to say they did it. And it's going to give it right back.
New stars, right? We're building new stars.
Well, let's think about something for a second here. The next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank. And can't you just see Randy Orton, after a grueling match with Jinder Mahal, winning the title back and getting cashed in on?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly my point.
Hey, maybe that guy who cashes in could be Baron Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, and it won't be, Sami Zayn.
No, probably not. I just think that this could have been handled a lot better. And it's not about Jinder Mahal. It's not Jinder Mahal's fault. All right, he's just doing his job. It's the same thing as the Roman Reigns thing. It's too much too soon. It's not an organic push. It's forced, and it literally happened overnight. At least Roman Reigns, we had a couple years to get used to him. Jinder Mahal was gone for so long, and you brought him back, and then we were reminded of what happened before he left, which was all he did was lose. It had no direction. And then all of a sudden, literally, superstar shakeup goes SmackDown. He has direction. He's in the main event. That kind of push works better for a face because you can do the Cinderella story. You could have a win on a fluke in a number one contenders match and make it a Cinderella story. And it will work beautifully. But it doesn't work for a heel. That's the issue. But he is going to win on Sunday. I agree. It's just a matter of how long he holds the title. And we'll see if it's a good match. Orton will do his best. Orton will do his best to make it work because there's no reason not to. But Jinder's gonna get tested here, and you hope he comes out with flying colors, and you hope it works out. You hope the match is good, and you hope that he gets a nice little reign here to make and does something with it. Everybody in the back says that he's been great during this most recent run. He's worked really hard. You could see that he has. But now the real work begins because once you get the title, you're the guy on that show. You're the guy that they're all looking up towards because you got the WWE title. So it's a big difference. So we'll see how it turns out. But I think Jinder Mahal wins on Sunday. So we got through all the matches. That was quick. But we did get through all the matches. We'll now get to some questions and comments. It's we always do if we have time. Again, if you haven't submitted one, you can still do. I want you all continue to do that even as we're doing them, because I know that this is kind of, it was a quick switch. Look, I'm just going to address this all in one question, because the top news story we talked about last week was Braun Strowman. And obviously news broke yesterday that Braun Strowman was going to be out 6 months with injury. And then news broke out today, thanks to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, that the Strowman injury is a work. And Lesnar will be facing Strowman at SummerSlam. Braun will come back in July, and Rollins or Balor will more than likely get, who was supposed to get Lesnar at SummerSlam, and more than likely get him at Great Balls of Fire. That's the way it's going to work out. So this news broke yesterday. So obviously we've had a lot of questions about Braun Strowman. So I'm going to pick the question that best exemplifies all the questions we got about this topic, because otherwise we'd be here talking about Braun Strowman all night, which is not a bad thing because he's awesome, but still. So a week ago, it was said that Braun Strowman will be out about 4 to 8 weeks with an injury. Yesterday, word broke, 6 months out with an injury. More than likely, we won't see him till December. Now it's being reported that this whole thing is a work. Assuming that this latest report is true, do you think it would be worth it for WWE to go through all this just to have Braun Strowman lose to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam? It's kind of a dumb question, but that's the best question I had. So, sorry, it's kind of a dumb question. It's worded kind of weird, but go ahead. So, basically, is it if with WWE doing this, should they have to have Braun Strowman win at SummerSlam?
Oh, absolutely. See, and I texted you this earlier. When Braun Strowman comes back, out like, oh, well, he's going to be out 6 months. He might not be back until December. Oh, what's next for the monster among men? When he comes back, like Roman Reigns, Lesnar, suddenly you've created a box, like a WWE box office draw. Strowman was already the best thing about Raw after Kevin Owens left. Braun Strowman was instantly the most show. They made Braun Strowman like the most interesting character they have. And if he comes back from this injury saying, oh, I'm not even force of nature can keep down Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's going to show up and he's going to fuck shit up and he's going to take that title from Brock Lesnar and then he's going to go off to Chipotle and have a bunch of fucking food to eat. Yeah. I don't know. That probably is not going to be Braun Strowman, by the way. But if he comes back, especially if you got a really hot crowd, a really smarky hot crowd, it was like, oh, and Paul Heyman's like, next after he destroyed Roman Reigns and Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, nobody's left in the locker room, and you get Braun comes out, you get the holy shit moment. And all of a sudden, you've got your box office draw. Braun Strowman comes back. He beats Brock Lesnar. And then, boom, you've got a megastar. Your first, like, non-independent, homegrown megastar in how long? Which is why I think, Braun Strowman is definitely going to win. He's going to be the champion. Because otherwise, like, oh, is you'd sacrifice that big comeback for what? To keep the title. And plus, the show has been, and from a fan standpoint, the show has been, like, the title needs to be on the show. It's been shit without it. This is the problem we have with Brock Lesnar taking the title otherwise, like, originally, too. WWE Championship. The WWE title needs to be on the show. The Universal title needs to be on the show.
Right.
See, this is why you don't give the title to Brock Lesnar. This is why you don't give the title to The Rock. Don't give the title to Goldberg. Because if they have the title's not there, and suddenly the show gets dragged down. Suffering. Strowman being the big guy, the unbeatable guy, a great draw for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, Braun Strowman beat Brock Lesnar, and all of a sudden Brock Lesnar has a guy on the roster who is kryptonite. Reigns. We've seen the Roman Reigns match before. It wasn't great. So we've seen that. Brock Lesnar has a guy who supplanted Goldberg. Roman is the monster that beat Brock. So the guy who beats Braun, God forbid, being Roman Reigns, huge rub.
Right.
Roman anymore. It'd be pointless to have Roman win.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna get. Cheers.
Well, here's the thing, okay? My belief is whether you did this injury work thing or not, if you're gonna put Braun Strowman in a ring with Brock Lesnar, he has to win.
Yep.
Regardless of this injury work or whatever, the injury work just makes it even more apparent that he has to win. That just adds more to it. It's really the point. But I understand that that Vince McMahon wants the whole Roman Lesnar thing. You've already had Roman go over enough legends. You don't need to continue to do it. You want to do it. The only one naturally left for him is Cena. Why not give somebody else a rub for once? You know what I mean? Give Lesnar to Strowman. And then if you want to, you could have this Strowman Lesnar thing go all the way to Mania, where Lesnar thinks he can get his redemption just like he did against Goldberg, and he loses again. If Strowman ends up being Brock Lesnar's kryptonite, boy, that's a hell of a story. That's a hell of a story. You have him beat Lesnar at SummerSlam. Lesnar goes away for months because he can't believe he's shell-shocked that the monster among men beat him. And he shows up at the Royal Rumble wanting to face Braun Strowman for the title again. Strowman doesn't give him the match. Maybe Strowman has another match. Lesnar wins. I know that you'd hate to waste the Rumble on Lesnar, but if it's going to be his last year, why not? Lesnar wins the Rumble. You get Mania main event, Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, and you have Strowman beat Lesnar again. You could book it like it was the Goldberg thing last year, only this time Lesnar doesn't get the redemption. It kind of fits together, doesn't it? That's the way I would play it. Because at that point, I think the only person that worthy of Strowman at WrestleMania would be a rematch with Brock Lesnar, to be honest. So that's what I would do. Do I think they're going to do it? I think when push comes to shove, I don't think it's their plan right now. I think they're still sticking to Brock Lesnar. But I think by the time we get to Strowman's return in July, I believe in my heart that they will put the title on him in August. I do think that. I think they'll see the reaction. They'll know they have to have the title on the show. I think they'll do it. But then I feel like they'll flip it back to Lesnar at Rumble, and then have Lesnar drop it to Reigns. That's what I think will happen. But we'll see. Recent news indicated that the Cruiserweight Classic beat NXT every week in viewership when it was around. And also that 205 Live is having a hard time making it into the top 20 of the most watched weekly network lists. How can the Cruiserweight Classic do so well in viewership and 205 Live struggle?
Well, maybe because you made it seem not important. If you present something as prestigious and historic and important, then it's going to rub off on the fans. If you have to present that as, oh, well, you must see 205 Live, then people are going to be interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Present it as an afterthought. People will not give two shits.
Right.
You have to build up the division. You have to make the guys in the division seem important. You can't just make them a bunch of jobless faces. The smarks who watch indies know who Noam Dar is. They know who Cedric Alexander is. They know who Rich Swann is. AJ Perkins is. These guys have been around. Akira Tozawa is.
Mm-hmm.
have been around and have been draws on the indies. WWE is a bigger thing. Obviously, it's a whole new ballgame. These guys are supposed to be your tentpole guys. Gallagher, who is another guy people know and like and respect.
Mm-hmm.
Gallagher and Aries and Kendrick and Neville. Be your tentpole guys. Guys who have looked like have been treated as something special are Neville and Aries. Had almost a year to make these guys look important, and you've only got 2 over. Kira Tozawa got ha. What are you doing with them? Take and present these guys as important, and it might be too late.
Yeah.
If you really put the effort in, I guarantee you ratings will go up. Effort in.
You know what my biggest problem's been with the Cruiserweight division since the beginning? And you're not wrong about any of it, but you know what my biggest problem has been? Isolation. You know, before you did 205 Live, when they first came to Raw, you know, why not? I understand it's their own division, okay? But why is it always so isolated? Why can't these guys interact with other wrestlers and be in tag matches and stuff? Why can't they? You know that could help them, right? They could. I mean, we do get upset when Cena kind of sponges off of other wrestlers' popularity, but wouldn't it be helpful for them to sponge off some popularity too?
Oh yeah.
You know, we've seen some of the, like we saw Alicia Fox interact with them, but that's about it. Like we haven't seen any interaction with other guys. Like wouldn't it be helpful to see that? We have like Neville and Austin Aries can be in a tag match with, you know, people from the tag division, or even like Rollins and everybody. You know what I mean? We could do that. Why not?
Rollins and Aries versus Neville and Joe would be a great match everywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Jack Gallagher versus, oh God, give me a guy from the main roster, Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
That would be to watch.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why are we so isolated?
That's the thing. WCW's Cruiserweight division was extremely isolated. And yeah, it was great for getting people excited. It was great for a change of pace and variety on the show. But eventually, when they let those cruiserweights kind of interact with people on the main roster, the people on the main roster they were interacting with had booking power. Got things like Rey Mysterio getting treated like a joke by Kevin Nash.
Right.
So if you have a smart booker to realize these cruiserweights could compete with, I don't know, Kevin Owens. And God, Kalisto is essentially a cruiserweight, and he had good matches with Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman.
Right.
Not impossible. You make it believable.
Well, you
also have to treat him as important, though. That's the thing.
My thing is, you know, we keep getting the same matches over and over again on TV every week. If you let these guys, if you stop isolating these guys, you can mix things up a little bit. We
have literally had Perkins and Neville versus Aries and Gallagher for like the last 3 weeks. That has been the only 205 match we've gotten. We have Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick. Have to make them seem important. That's all. It's not hard.
Right. I'm just saying that to me is not helpful either. You know, I understand they have their own show, yes, but while they're on Raw, why not have them interact with other guys? That, to me, that's just crazy that they haven't. Because then it might help and it might get them over, and more people might tune in to 205 Live as a result of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I do think I think it might be too late. It's been too long. I mean, we started this back in September on the main roster. I mean, it's been a long time. You've had a long time to figure this out. It's ridiculous. It was announced today that SmackDown will feature picture-in-picture technology during their show. So during commercials, you can continue to see the action during the live broadcast. This is something that NBC will also be trying with their Winter Olympics. Why do you think it took wrestling and other sports so long to do something like this? Shouldn't it have been done years ago? Why should you ever have to miss things during a live broadcast? Well,
you got to present the thing that's happening in real time.
Well,
here's the
thing. Sorry. You don't have the technology.
We don't have the tech. I mean, you did. You had the app. Do you know what they showed on the app? Things what happened in live time. Grandstanding, posturing to the crowd, or a headlock.
Right.
It's a break in the action for a reason, because they're not doing really anything during that time. You're not 9 times out of 10, or even 8 times out of 10. I'll give you 8 times out of 10. You're not missing any big move. You're not missing anything on the break that will do it. And if you do, they're gonna show it. You missed during the break. Oh, he ran him into the barricade or something like that. Anything.
Right.
And if something happens that during the break, which was important, they're gonna show you.
Yeah.
Who cares?
See,
I mean, it's a non-issue.
Even comparing this to something like the Winter Olympics to me is crazy, because during the Olympics you do miss action. It does happen, especially during a long event. It does happen. I mean, yeah, to your point, Mike, they will show you what happened when you missed, what you missed. But I can understand, like, during something like that, you might want to see it live. You know what I mean? It might be something this is something about it. But look, the technology hasn't always been there. You said they had the app, and that's when they started having the technology. So the technology hasn't been there. It's not like the technology's been there for 30 years, never used it. It hasn't been there all the time. The other thing,
it's probably even still there. You use the freaking app and look.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like you said, nothing goes on in wrestling during the breaks. Nothing does. So why does it even matter? Like, okay, it's cool that SmackDown's going to do it. Great for them, but it's not going to really amount to anything. It's something cool they can tout to people, like, oh, we're trying this new thing. It probably won't even last very long, to be honest. They try stuff like this all the time, and it never lasts. So I wouldn't get too excited about it. It's not that big of a deal to me. They're not, and you know something. I think it's funny that they're doing it during SmackDown, because if they ever did it during Raw, people already complain that Raw is too long as it is. You're gonna have shows during commercials too. People can barely sit through 3-hour Raw. Now we're going to sit through the commercials. I mean, I think to see people complaining about that. But anyway, so obviously there's been a lot of talk in the wrestling world about Randy Orton and his comments about indie wrestling. What are your thoughts on this indie wrestling criticism situation?
Oh, Randy Orton. Oh, Randy Orton.
We love him.
And if you haven't read it, Randy Orton wrote this big thing on Twitter. He said, response to Rip Rogers posting something, old-timer Rip Rogers. Randy Orton said, sorry to the indie marks and old-timers who do dives. Just having a good time over a few drinks in Denmark. SmackDown Live tour. While beating Raw and making over $5 million in the last 11 shows. Oh, to some, that doesn't equate to a standing room only crowd of 150 people paying $8 at an armory somewhere. But in the big boy world, that's called putting asses. So enjoy your flips, dives, and 20 super kicks per match. Dive back into my 13th title run. Flip when my bank statement comes in this month. Headlock. Because Randy Orton, his nickname is, of course, Rest Hold Randy. So Randy is not that much of a fan of the indie style. And Randy Orton's not going to be one of those guys when his run's over, he's done wrestling. He is not going to be a guy who goes on the indie scene.
No.
When these wrestles these flippy guys, he super kicks the mat. No, Randy Orton's going to be one of these WWE guys for life. He's going to be around the company. He eventually is going to be a part-timer. Hall of Fame. He's going to be a personality eventually. And I know Randy Orton personality. Look, I think he has personality. But Randy Orton is one of my favorites. He always has been. To the point, Orton isn't wrong. That's the thing. Randy Orton's not wrong. Where the thing with the indie style is for a little reward. I heard Jim Cornette say, and take him a grain of salt if you want. But he said there was this match with Low Ki. On Low Ki's career, his former Senshi, former Kaval. Low Ki, big indie guy, former Ring of Honor champion. NXT season 2. And his championship match for the Intercontinental title and lost. Has this hard-hitting kind of strong style. In his career, Jim Cornette was watching a Low Ki match. And Low Ki was supposedly over this badass guy with big martial arts moves. So with the first hit, knocks the guy out with one kick. That if he and quote this as you will, if they handed the match there, Low Ki would have looked like the most badass guy in professional wrestling. Years and years and years. But what Low Ki did is tried to revive the guy because they had moves and sequences they wanted to do. Low Ki looked like a total moron. And that's the indie style. Spot, 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 dive, 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 super kick, super kick, super kick. That's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
Does that hurt wrestling? Indie wrestling has evolved too. And it's a lot of risk for there was just a story where a big British wrestler named Mark Haskins, he had some international exposure. He was wrestling everywhere, strong, high-flying style. Now. Might have to retire now, neck injury. Surrender all of his titles on a neck injury. For what? Safer style? Criticize the WWE style of wrestling all you want. WWE style has been developed.
Right.
Specifically for the long-term safety of its guys because they're wrestling all the time. Wrestling 4 to 5 days a week. Style to kind of promote the longevity of their guys. As you're wrestling three or four times a week, high risk, high style, high risk, low reward style. Yeah, you're gonna pop the crowd and they're like, oh, this is such a great honor to work here. Out of it. Japan. Get out of it. Katsuyori Shibata might have his career over because he refused to work a safer style. It's not like Randy Orton's wrong here. Indie wrestling has kind of devolved where it's sacred. And a lot of it is flips and a lot of it's super kicks. There's no specialness to the super kick anymore unless Shawn Michaels is doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody does a super kick now. Everybody does a super kick now in WWE.
Yeah.
Oh, take it as you will, but it's not like Randy Orton's wrong.
No, I agree.
I can't hear you. Your sound's off.
How about now? Am I good?
You can talk now.
Okay, great. All right, so let me just say this, 'cause I think you said it really well. 'Cause I do agree. But let me just say this. My first exposure to wrestling was when you guys started putting wrestling on every Friday night, and that's and you had the video games, everything. So all I really know is WWE. Then of course over the years, a couple times when Kevin Owens was in ROH, you put on ROH for me. We watched different things, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever I watched an indie wrestling promotion, all I could think about was, Jesus, what the heck is this? It looks like it doesn't even it doesn't look like a wrestling match to me. It looks like just a bunch of spots to get the crowd going, and nobody sells the moves. Just get right back up, go on to the next kick, the next jump, the next whatever. There's no attempt to build something. It's just sequence after sequence after sequence. And then at times in WWE, when you get these guys in here, any guys in there, it happens again. They kind of fall back on habits at times. Not nearly as much, but at times. So, I kind of get what he's saying. I think, it loses, the moves lose their meaning if you do things like that. And the matches lose their meaning if you do things like that. The whole idea is you're supposed to tell a story. You're supposed to build a match, tell a story, and it's supposed to be a match that you can ideally both guys get something out of. But sometimes this has to be a squash match because that's the way it has to go. But usually you're trying to build a match that ideally both guys get something out of, and you can build from that. If all you're going to do is kick, jump off top rope, kick, spot, and it's not going to mean anything, and you're just going to get right back up like nothing happened, that's not good. So, I mean, I do see in a lot of ways what the criticism that Orton's doing. Now, again, should he have said it? Well, he's entitled to his opinion. But I see what he's saying. And look, people are going to criticize the WWE product. Oh, it's watered down. Oh, wow, it becomes more about story. It's about stories, not about wrestling. Look, to me, the WWE is at its best when it's a great mix of story and wrestling. When they do one or the other, it's not. It's when it falls into a trap. A bad trap. So to me, the story has to be there. And if it depends more on story, I tend to like it a little bit more anyway. So, hey, but like you said, I do think Randy makes some good points. So just the way he delivered them, there might be, a couple of quick rapid fire questions, and then we'll leave it at that. Rusev missed tonight's SmackDown after originally being scheduled to appear. I guess it was a late decision to have him miss it. Where do you think this Rusev angle is going, with him demanding a WWE Championship match at Money in the Bank, or telling Shane McMahon that he just won't show up on SmackDown? I think it's probably leading to a championship match.
I agree.
I think it's
Rusev could be a guy who wins Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah. I think that's where it's going to end up. He's going to tell Rusev, well, I'm not going to give you the title match, but I'm going to put you in Money in the Bank. And that's what they're going to do. I think that's easy to decide. I don't think he's going to get a championship match, although I could see them doing that too and making a triple threat as a way for them to, because I think they want to turn Rusev face. Maybe they have Rusev versus Jinder Mahal as a title feud. Who would have thought? Going to tag team him. Maybe they transition into that. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's going to mean something. I don't think it's going to be just dropped. I think he either ends up in the Money in the Bank match, or actually do give him a championship match. It's one or the other. John Cena was removed from WWE SmackDown intro, despite word that he will be appearing on SmackDown starting in July. What do you make of this? Do you think they're potentially moving John Cena to Raw? Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. It's only a matter of time.
Well, I think there's a need on Raw. I think that's a given. I think it's obvious they need something on Raw, because right now without Strowman, it's just monotonous. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that they're gonna. I think right now, they obviously, they put Cena on SmackDown to get SmackDown over, and I think they feel like SmackDown's in a good enough place now. AJ Styles there and everybody else, that they can do this. So they could always move guys around. I think they established the brand split enough now where they can move guys around as they please if they have to. They used to do that before. I think they'll do it again. So, I think you'll see that. I do think you're right, though. I think you'll see Cena on Raw now, and then maybe they move back to SmackDown as needed. You know what I mean? I think that's generally where you're going with it. Mm-hmm. Daniel Bryan, in the wake of his child's birth, which I can extend our congratulations on to him and Brie. In the wake of his child's birth, continues to maintain that he can still wrestle and will more than likely be wrestling somewhere if he's still able to wrestle. Your thoughts on Daniel's continued determination in wanting to wrestle again?
Daniel Bryan has the same issue Katsuyori Shibata. They want to wrestle their style all the time, period.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they want to work. They can't be
right.
true to that. Well, they want to go somewhere, or they can all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not sure what the deal is with Shibata at this point in time, and the fact that we've brought him up twice is something. But I feel like Daniel Bryan feels like he can wrestle however he wants, wherever he wants to go. Pay him. They're going to pay to see Bryan Danielson.
Right.
Should he, now that he has a kid, and he could be one concussion away or two concussions away from brain damage. Look, it kills him because the guy is a professional wrestler. And I'm not denying the fact that he can go out there and probably at least wrestle a 4-star match right now. All they asked him to do was tone his style down. I don't know.
Before he had the child, I said, you know what? If WWE could clear him for one last match at WrestleMania, let him have it. Just put him in the ring with somebody like The Miz or somebody. You know what I mean? Somebody that, ain't going to ruffle any feathers. He's just going to do them. You know what I mean? Somebody that you can trust to, or put him in a tag match for Kane or something. You know what I mean? If you want to give him one more and justify it, I can understand that. I feel you on that. But the way he's going to want to do it. And for him, it's not, he doesn't want to just do a one-off. He wants to go back and be somewhat regular with it. That's what he wants. That's what he still thinks he can do. As crazy as that sounds. And to me, when you have a child now involved in everything, it's just a little bit, I don't like it. I don't. I think it's irresponsible. I know how badly he wants it, and I think any fan that justifies it is just contributing to it. It's irresponsible. This is looking out for your safety. It's not like they're saying we just don't want you to wrestle because whatever. They're looking out for your safety. I mean, their doctors aren't making crap up. This is the case. So it's not. It's to me, it's just irresponsible. I think it'd be a really bad idea, especially now that his daughter has arrived. I think it'd be the worst thing in the world to do, or one of the worst things he could do. That's just me. Last question. I pull it up here. We're about a month and a half out of the Superstar shakeup, and both Raw and SmackDown have seemed to suffer very much creatively. Raw, in particular, in ratings as well. While this time of year can bring creative and ratings hardship, do you think there's anything that they can do to stem the tide here, or do you think this is the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future?
What?
Basically, Raw and SmackDown are in a rut. They've been in a rut since the Superstar shakeup. This time of year, things are usually in a rut anyway. So, is there anything they can do to stop or improve ratings or stop the creative slide they're on, or is it just the way it is? That's basically what we're doing. I paraphrase that. So, well, let's be honest.
Well, sure. There. Of course, there's ways. But see, we're fans. What do we know? We're not in the business. Fans who have idea of story structure.
True.
To see. If you honestly on SmackDown, what they're doing right now is what they're doing. Not like SmackDown is a hard show to watch. I just don't watch it because I've got to do this show. I don't really have time or opportunity to watch. Sometimes I can catch a stream, sometimes I can't. And I'll just watch them after the show. So, is there anything SmackDown could do? Look, they've got Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. They've got Sami Zayn versus Baron trying to get what he can get out of Baron Corbin. You've got Randy Orton being a dick. What more do you want? Like, quite literally, what more do you want? Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles has been a dream match. It's been a program people have been wanting. Raw, on the other hand, could get way more interesting. Raw has more detriments to it. The title, the Universal title, championship that they're still trying to get over, not on the program. Raw has everything focused around Roman Reigns getting meaningless wins over Finn Balor. Should have been one of Roman Reigns' biggest rivals. You lose to him in a nothing match, the money's down. Money's gone for a match down the road. You've got guys doing nothing except for jobbing to Roman for a while. Nothing going for it except for Alexa Bliss and Cesaro and Sheamus. Boys. Bayley's not holding up her end of the deal in their feud. She's literally being handheld through everything. Just carrying that division, period. So is Nia Jax. I guess you could say Sasha Banks too, but Sasha's not doing great either. Roman Reigns has failed as a face. The most intense feud you have is Joe versus Rollins, and we're not really sure why they're fighting right now. That's the thing. It's not really openly defined why Samoa Joe wants to murder Seth Rollins other than because I can. Not great for storytelling purposes. Finn Balor, who was supposed to be the face of Raw, just jobbed a Roman Reigns in a meaningless match that was okay, but missed all of it, and I fell asleep during some of it. I'm like, oh, well, Roman's going to win. I don't care. You watch most of Raw, and you're like, this is 3 hours and a waste of my time.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Raw. It's a waste of your time. There are ways they can make it less of a waste of your time. They need to give Joe and Rollins a reason to hate each other. They need to do something with Bray Wyatt. Something. Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. Hey, you know what would have made that Wyatt Reigns, that Reigns Balor finish would have been fine if Bray Wyatt interfered.
Mm.
Would have made that fine because you couldn't do it for you did it for Seth Rollins and Joe. God, Miz is interesting, but you can only get Miz for so many segments.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose is fine, but you can only do Dean Ambrose so long. You're just highlighting your weaknesses.
Yes.
Clean win back and a match that could have been a money match down the road. Embarrassing.
Well, I think the problem is, and I think we mentioned this, well, one of the problems is, we mentioned this a couple weeks ago, was the fact that a lot of the feuds on Raw, I think SmackDown's going to be fine. I think they had SmackDown a couple tough weeks, but that was because they did the shakeup when they did, you had some of the stuff happening on the Raw pay-per-view, so everything was kind of in flux. But as soon as you got beyond, the Raw pay-per-view, and everything kind of settled in, SmackDown's been better. I mean, it's not great, but it's been better. I think once you get through this pay-per-view, I think it's going to be even better yet. You know, I see I feel like SmackDown's doing what Raw did last fall, where, you know, the first couple weeks it was real rough, but then once it got going, it got good. You know, once you got direction, once they settled on who they're going to go with and what they're going to do, it got really good. And I think that's where SmackDown's going right now. I see direction. I like where it's going. It's entertaining now, so that's good. Raw, on the other hand, I think the biggest problem with Raw is that they're still burning off feuds that have been going on for 6 months. The Reigns-Strowman feud was still going. Now it has to end, but it was still going. And it's probably going to do some more when Strowman gets back. You know, Rollins and Joe are still at it, and like you said, you still don't understand why. Triple H is no longer in the picture, so why bother? You know, Bailey and Sasha Banks are beyond played out, and neither one looks at all interested in what's going on. Only time Sasha looks interested when she's in the ring with Alexa Bliss, because she wants to do that feud, and you know that's a genuine competitive nature thing with her. So you know, Alexa Bliss is good, but everything else around her is kind of crappy right now. Miz can only go so far, and this Miz Ambrose thing, which got dropped and picked up, has been going on since before the Rumble. I mean, all this stuff is stuff that we've seen, and that's all we get for 3 hours.
Except for Bailey and Bliss, really.
Yeah, but Bailey tanks it, so you know, but you know, it's just all stuff we've seen. There's no energy to Raw. SmackDown's got some energy because some of it's fresh and it's new. Raw doesn't have that, and that's the big problem. And you add to it the fact the Universal title is not on the show. That's a problem too. But here's the thing. Could the shows both be better? Yes. Would it change the ratings? I don't think it would, because this time of year people check out a TV in general. You know, that's why we have the infamous daylight savings time drop off in ratings and TV in general in March and April. And then people come back for season finales and Mays, and they take off for the summer. That's how this thing works. It's been working like this for the last 8-9 years. You know, and you know, wrestling has to deal with that aspect like all of TV does, and the fact that you have to battle the NBA playoffs every night, and it hurts. And it's the after WrestleMania funk. You all know how this works. After WrestleMania, it kind of goes, you know, there are a couple of good programs. I think like Shield Evolution a couple years ago. You have a couple of good programs, but then it doesn't really pick up to like Money in the Bank, and then Money in the Bank through SummerSlam. It's pretty cool, because there's direction again and such. It takes WWE a little while to find their way after WrestleMania, because they put so much into WrestleMania, and then they have to kind of, you know, get it all pieced together again. So I think it's a couple. I think it would help if they had better direction. Yeah, make the shows better. If you watch them, it'd be better. But I don't think it would change the thing with the ratings. It just would change creatively and be better creatively. But ratings-wise, it might not be this. It might not be better. So, you know, that's kind of the thing. I don't think it would help the ratings, but creatively, it would certainly help. Yes. Mike, Batista responded to Randy Orton's post from over the weekend. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, he's like, that's
my guy. That's my guy. Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's what he tweeted in response to Randy Orton's in the comments. Another thing, we had a match added to the pay-per-view on Sunday.
Backlash.
It was added on Talking Smack. Eric Rowan will face Luke Harper on Sunday. So I'll just give you a quick little prediction. That match will be okay. That match will be okay. There's obviously some story aspect there. Luke Harper should win the match, though. And I think that's who.
It should be a loser leaves SmackDown match.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice. I don't think that will be what happens, but that would be nice. I think that'd be fitting. I think one of them could stand to be on Raw. But yeah, I think Luke Harper is going to win the match, and I think Luke Harper has to win the match. So
I agree.
Just wanted to mention that. I heard that was on Talking Smack, so I wanted to make sure we brought that up. So another match added. I think they needed another match, so that's good that they added it. All right, so if we didn't address your question or comment, again, I apologize. Always as time permits. We did 8 of them, so that's pretty good. And I know this was a last-minute change, so again, I apologize for that. So if we didn't get to your question or comment, again, we do save them. If they're relevant to whatever topics, we'll go back to them. If we, I sometimes pull things from past, bunches of them. So if it's something relevant, we'll pull it up. If not, you can continue to send the same question or comment any time, and hopefully we'll pick it for you. But again, we do as many as time permits. So don't be offended if we did not choose yours. All right, so with that being said, we are done for tonight. As always, the show might be over. It's not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to our show. You continue to have your voice heard. Send us your feedback. We need it. We want it. Keep sending it. Questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, or breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. Let's see. Reactions, comments, opinions on things we talked about on the show, topics, things we said. All that good stuff you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything to tweet regarding our show. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. And make sure that you like our page once you find it or once you're on it. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially when it comes to scheduling. Obviously, last-minute postponements, delays, and even changes like tonight changed the focus of the show last minute. But obviously, last-minute postponements, delays, and changes can happen. The best way to get that information, the most reliable way to get that information is to follow us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. Not only that, but we also post random thoughts, random things on there on our social media feeds as well. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for In the Spotlight 401. And then make sure that you follow us on both Facebook and Twitter so you can have access to all of that and more. All right. If you'd like to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes, you have 2 ways in which to do it. You can either stream us anytime on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Google Plus and YouTube. And once you're on our pages on both sites, you have access to every episode we've ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube. That's every episode from mid-October of 2015 all the way up into tonight's episode. All those episodes are available for you to stream anytime you want. So if you're interested, just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Google Plus and YouTube, and you'll have access to those episodes. If you're not a fan of streaming, maybe you just don't like looking at us on screen, or maybe you prefer to listen to us on the go, or you're interested in older episodes of our show, if any of that applies to you, then check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on both those sites. You'll be taken to our show pages on both sites, where you'll have access to every episode we've done over the nearly 7 years we've been doing this show. That's every episode from our original Blog Talk Radio one from October 2010 and January 2011. Everything from our Talk Show one from January 2011 all the way to mid-October 2015. And, of course, all of our Google Plus and YouTube episodes from mid-October of 2015 all the way up into tonight's episode, current episode. All those episodes transfer into audio format for your convenience. They're also all available on Podbean and iTunes. So every episode we've ever done, in order from the most recent date to the oldest, available on Podbean and iTunes. Those episodes are available for you to listen to anytime you want. So maybe you're a longtime fan, wants to check out an episode from 3 or 4 years ago, or a new fan wants to check out an episode like that for the first time, or maybe just want to keep up on current episodes, miss a part of an episode, miss an episode entirely. Any of that works. If any of that applies to you, then make sure you check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, where you can listen to us on the go anytime you wish. And just search for In the Spotlight 411 to find us on Podbean and iTunes. So Podbean, iTunes, Google Plus, and YouTube. Always keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Again, Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes. Always keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. Again, search for In the Spotlight 411, and you'll have access to our episodes on all of those resources. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
On to bed.
Of course, I want to thank myself for another great show, pat myself on the back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. And to those that'll be watching or listening to us later, thank you to you as well. Thank you for your continued patience with the technical problems we're having. And of course, again, to those of you that were upset that I switched the topics, I'm sorry. It was a last minute change. Again, I explained why. But still, I know that kind of would anger some people, so I apologize for that. Again, I'll update you all on what's going to be going on next week on Thursday's show. Like I said, we will definitely not have a show on Tuesday at any point. Whether we do a daytime show Monday or Wednesday, that is yet to be determined. I'll explain more about that on Thursday. If I decide on doing anything like that, we'll address the whole thing formally and completely on Thursday. But we do have a show this Thursday. It's a sports entertainment combo show. We will talk NBA playoffs, NBA draft lottery, baseball. We'll do a little bit of baseball as well. Any other sports headlines we have to cover, TV highlights, box office beat, also TV upfronts. That's the reason why we switched it to Thursday again. The topics, we switched the topics so that on Thursday we can do the upfronts in their entirety. We'll talk about all the new fall TV schedules that have come out from the networks. They'll all be completed by then. They'll all be out by then. So that makes it good. That's why we made the change as far as topics go, because I wanted to be able to do that. So by moving to Thursday with that, we can do that. So we'll do all that on Thursday. It'll be a very, very full show on Thursday. So make sure that you tune in for that. Quickly, Golden State beating San Antonio. That game, believe it or not, it's not over yet. Golden State beating San Antonio 131-94. 2:54 left in the fourth. That game on ESPN. So that didn't get any better for San Antonio. So they better hope Kawhi Leonard's back for Game 3. That's all I'm going to say. Even if they're at home, they're going to need him. And also, this is a funny story to end on. Mike Brown was nearly arrested on the way to Game 2. Mike Brown, of course, is the Warriors' interim head coach. Now that Steve Kerr's not involved right now. He's hurt with his back and everything. But Mike Brown's been coaching the team. He was nearly arrested driving to Oracle Arena thanks to the Spurs team bus that was behind him. I don't know what the story is, but somebody's tweeting about it. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that on Thursday. Apparently, Greg Popovich was laughing about it. So read into that what you will. But pretty funny story. I have to look up and see what that's about. But yeah, Golden State well on their way to a Game 2 victory, being up 2-0. So we'll see how that series progresses. And obviously the Eastern Conference Finals being underway between Cleveland and Boston. Remember, Boston hosts that series. Boston has home court. So we'll see if that makes a difference going forward here. So we'll talk about all NBA stuff on Thursday. So that's it for tonight. Again, thank you to everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching or listening. That's it for tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great Thursday. We'll see you back here this coming Thursday night, which is May the 18th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That is our next show here on YouTube Live. Broadcasting live on YouTube Live, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, May the 18th. Until then, have a good night, everybody.